I never thought I'd be sharing my story on Reddit, but here I am. My name is Carol, 28F, and I recently discovered that my husband, Rick, 30M, has been living a double life for the past 2 years. It's still hard for me to wrap my head around it, but I'll try to explain everything from the beginning. Rick and I met during our sophomore year of college. We were both part of the same study group for our economics class. I remember being struck by his quick wit and infectious laugh. We started as friends, often staying up late in the library, quizzing each other and sharing our dreams for the future. It wasn't until our junior year that things turned romantic. Our first date was a disaster. Rick had planned a picnic in the park, but it rained heavily that day. We ended up huddled under a tiny umbrella, eating soggy sandwiches and laughing at the absurdity of it all. That's when I knew he was special. Despite the rain, cold, and ruined food, we had the best time just being together. After graduation, we both landed jobs in Chicago. I started as a junior accountant at a mid-sized firm, while Rick pursued his passion for graphic design. We lived in a tiny studio apartment, barely making ends meet, but we were happy. We'd spend our weekends exploring the city, trying out hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and dreaming about our future together. 2 years into our relationship, Rick proposed. It wasn't a grand gesture, he simply got down on one knee in our tiny kitchen one Sunday morning, still in his pajamas, and asked me to spend the rest of my life with him. It was perfect because it was us. We got married a year later in a small ceremony with just our closest friends and family. My parents, who had been skeptical of Rick at first, they wanted me to date a doctor or lawyer, finally came around when they saw how happy he made me. Rick's parents, on the other hand, welcomed me with open arms from the start. His mom, Linda, even gave me her grandmother's pearl necklace to wear on our wedding day. The first 3 years of our marriage were blissful. We moved to a slightly bigger apartment, adopted a cat named Whiskers, and started saving for a house. Rick's freelance business was taking off, and I was steadily climbing the ladder at my firm. We talked about starting a family in a few years, once we were more financially stable. Everything changed last month when I got a call from my boss, Mr. Thompson. He offered me a position in our New York office, a significant promotion that would almost double my salary. I was ecstatic. This was the opportunity I had been working towards for years. When I told Rick about the offer, he seemed genuinely happy for me. We spent that entire weekend researching neighborhoods in New York, looking at apartment listings, and planning our new life. Rick assured me that his freelance work was flexible, and he could easily find clients in New York. We decided to take a trip to New York to scout out neighborhoods and get a feel for the city. Rick suggested we make a vacation out of it, spend a week exploring potential areas to live and enjoy some touristy activities. I was touched by his enthusiasm and support. However, 2 weeks before our planned trip, Rick's behavior started to change. He became distant and was constantly on his phone. At first, I brushed it off as stress about the move. Moving to a new city is a big deal, after all. But then I noticed he was taking calls in private and staying out late without explanation. I tried to talk to him about it, but he kept brushing me off, saying it was just work-related stress. I wanted to believe him, but something felt off. We'd always been open with each other, and this secrecy was new and unsettling. 3 days before our New York trip, I overheard a conversation that turned my world upside down. I had come home early from work, hoping to surprise Rick with takeout from our favorite Italian place. As I walked in, I heard him on the phone in our bedroom. His words made my blood run cold. I can't leave Chicago. I don't know how to tell her. It's not that simple. My heart was pounding as I confronted Rick that evening. I asked him point blank what was going on and why he couldn't leave Chicago. He tried to deflect, saying it was just a difficult client, but I pressed harder. I could see the moment he realized he couldn't lie anymore. His face crumpled, and he sat down heavily on our couch. What he told me next felt like a nightmare. 2 years ago, Rick met a woman named Gladys, 27F, at his favorite coffee shop. They struck up a conversation about a book Gladys was reading. It happened to be Rick's favorite author. One thing led to another, and they ended up sleeping together. Rick swore it was a one-time thing, that he regretted it immediately. But then, a month later, Gladys contacted him to say she was pregnant. Rick panicked. He said he didn't know what to do. He cared about Gladys and couldn't bear the thought of abandoning his child, but he also loved me and didn't want to lose our marriage. So he made the cowardly choice to try and have both. For 2 years, Rick had been living a double life. He told Gladys he traveled frequently for work, which explained his absences. To me, he explained his late nights and occasional weekend disappearances as client meetings and work emergencies. He now has a 1-year-old son with Gladys. As Rick spoke, I felt like I was watching our entire relationship crumble before my eyes. Every memory, every moment we shared, was now tainted by this massive lie. I thought about all the times he had held me, told me he loved me, all while hiding this enormous secret. I asked him if he loved Gladys and his son. Rick hesitated before answering, which was an answer in itself. He said he cared for them, but insisted that he loved me and wanted to make our marriage work. He begged me to forgive him, promising he would end things with Gladys and be the husband I deserved. But how could I ever trust him again? This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was 2 years of constant lies and deception. 2 years of coming home to me, kissing me, planning a future with me, all while having another family on the side. I told Rick to get out. He tried to argue, to plead his case, but I couldn't bear to look at him. I threatened to call Gladys and tell her everything if he didn't leave immediately. That finally got him to go. For the past week, I've been alone in our house, trying to process everything. The home that once felt so warm and full of love now feels tainted. Every corner holds a memory, and each one is now painful. I don't know what to do now. The job in New York is still waiting for me, but the thought of leaving Chicago and giving Rick an easy out makes me sick. Part of me wants to stay and make his life difficult, but I know that's not healthy. I'm also wrestling with whether I should tell Gladys the truth. She deserves to know, but I'm not sure if it's my place to tell her. I've told my best friend, Mia, 29F, about the situation. Mia and I have been friends since high school. She was my maid of honor at my wedding and has always been there for me through thick and thin. She's been incredibly supportive, staying with me and helping me navigate this mess. She thinks I should take the job in New York and start fresh, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to make such a big decision right now. Rick has been calling and texting nonstop, begging for another chance. He says he'll do anything to make it right, including moving to New York with me and cutting all ties with Gladys and his son. But how can I ever trust him again? How can I believe anything he says? I feel lost and betrayed. The future I thought I had has been shattered, and I'm not sure how to pick up the pieces. Should I stay in Chicago or go to New York? Should I tell Gladys the truth? And most importantly, how do I even begin to heal from this betrayal? Update 1, it's been a month since my last post, and to say it's been a roller coaster would be an understatement. First of all, I want to thank everyone who offered advice and support. Your words meant more to me than you could know during this difficult time. After a lot of soul-searching and sleepless nights, I decided to take the job in New York. It wasn't an easy decision, but I realized that staying in Chicago would only prolong my pain and give Rick more opportunities to try and worm his way back into my life. I told my boss, Mr. Thompson, about my situation, not all the details, just that I was going through a divorce, and he was incredibly understanding. He gave me an extra month to sort out my affairs before starting the new position. Telling my parents about Rick's betrayal and my decision to move was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. My mom cried, and my dad was furious. They wanted to confront Rick themselves, but I managed to talk them out of it. They're sad that I'll be moving further away, but they understand that I need a fresh start. As for Rick, I finally gathered the courage to block his number and all his social media accounts. It wasn't easy. There were moments when I found myself hovering over his contact info, fighting the urge to call him and hear his voice. But I knew it was necessary for my mental health. I had to remind myself that the Rick I loved never really existed. He was a lie, a carefully crafted facade hiding a selfish, deceitful man. However, before I cut off all contact with Rick, I made a decision that I'm still not sure was the right one. I told Gladys the truth. I debated for days whether I should do it. On one hand, she deserved to know the truth about the man she was involved with. On the other hand, was it really my place to potentially blow up her life? In the end, my desire for her to know the truth won out. I reached out to Gladys via Facebook and asked if we could meet. She seemed confused but agreed. We met at a park near her house. I was terrified, my hands shaking as I waited for her to arrive. When Gladys showed up, pushing a stroller with a sleeping toddler, my heart broke all over again. This was Rick's son, the child he had hidden from me for over a year. Gladys looked confused when I introduced myself as Rick's wife. Then, as I started explaining everything, her confusion turned to shock, then anger, and finally, heartbreak. It turns out Rick had told Gladys that he was divorced and that his ex-wife, me, was giving him a hard time about seeing his son. She had no idea that our marriage was still very much intact. Gladys broke down crying, and I found myself comforting the woman my husband had an affair with. It was a surreal experience. Gladys and I ended up talking for hours. We shared stories about Rick and realized how much he had lied to both of us. She showed me pictures of their son, and my heart broke all over again. This innocent child was caught in the middle of all this mess. After our meeting, Gladys confronted Rick. He tried to lie his way out of it at first, but when he realized we had talked to each other, he finally admitted to everything. Gladys kicked him out of her house, and now he's staying with his brother. Rick tried to come to our house, well, my house now, to talk to me. I refused to let him in and told him that I've already contacted a divorce lawyer. He broke down crying on the porch, begging for another chance, saying he'd give up everything for me. But I stood my ground. I told him that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild, and that I deserve better than a life of constant doubt and suspicion. As for the house in Chicago, I've decided to sell it. There are too many memories, both good and bad. I'm working with a real estate agent, and hopefully, it'll be on the market soon. I'm planning to use my share of the money as a down payment for an apartment in New York. Mia has been an absolute rock through all of this. She's helping me pack up the house and is even planning to come with me to New York for the first week to help me settle in. I don't know what I'd do without her. She's been there for me through countless late-night crying sessions, has helped me sort through the practical aspects of divorce, and has reminded me of my worth when I felt at my lowest. I'm still hurt and angry, but I'm also starting to feel a glimmer of excitement about my new life in New York. It's scary, but it's also a fresh start. I've started researching neighborhoods in Brooklyn, looking for a place that could become my new home. I'm even thinking about taking some evening classes or joining a club when I get there, to meet new people and rediscover who I am outside of my marriage. I know the road ahead won't be easy. There are moments when the weight of everything that's happened threatens to overwhelm me. But for the first time in a month, I feel like I can breathe again. I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on the things I can control, and trying to look forward rather than back. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and 6 months since I found out about Rick's double life. I'm now settled in New York, and I have to say, it's been a whirlwind of emotions and experiences. Firstly, the house in Chicago sold quicker than I expected. I got a good price for it, which gave me a nice cushion for my move to New York. Packing up that house was harder than I anticipated. Every object held a memory, and I found myself oscillating between anger and nostalgia as I boxed up our life together. In the end, I decided to donate most of our shared belongings. It felt cathartic, like I was shedding the weight of my old life. I found a small but cozy apartment in Brooklyn. It's in a neighborhood called Park Slope, full of tree-lined streets and little cafes. My apartment is on the 3rd floor of a brownstone, with big windows that let in lots of natural light. I'm slowly making it feel like home, buying new furniture and decorating it in a style that's entirely my own. No compromises, no consulting anyone else, just what I like. The new job is challenging but rewarding. My colleagues have been welcoming, and the work keeps me busy, which is a blessing. It helps keep my mind off everything that happened. My boss, Mr. Thompson, has been incredibly supportive. He's given me some high-profile projects to work on, showing his faith in my abilities. It's done wonders for my self-confidence, which took a serious hit after Rick's betrayal. As for Rick, well, that situation got even more complicated. About a month after I moved, I received a call from Gladys. She was hysterical. Apparently, Rick had shown up at her place, drunk and belligerent, demanding to see his son. When Gladys refused, he tried to force his way in. She had to call the police. I felt terrible for Gladys and her son. Even though she was the other woman, I realized she was as much a victim of Rick's lies as I was. We've actually kept in touch and have formed an unlikely friendship. We're both trying to heal from Rick's betrayal, and it's oddly comforting to have someone who truly understands what I'm going through. Rick's actions that night were the last straw for me. I instructed my lawyer to speed up the divorce proceedings. Rick tried to contest it at first, but when I threatened to expose his behavior to our families and friends, he finally agreed to an uncontested divorce. The divorce was finalized last week. It's strange to think that after 5 years of marriage, it all came down to a few signatures on a piece of paper. I felt a mix of sadness and relief when I signed those papers. Sadness for the life I thought I had, and relief that I could finally start to move on. In other news, I've started seeing a therapist. I was resistant at first, but Mia convinced me to give it a try. It's been helpful to have a neutral party to talk to about everything. I'm learning to trust again, not just others, but myself and my own judgment. I've also reconnected with an old college friend, Alex, 29M, who lives in New York. We bumped into each other at a coffee shop in my neighborhood. Turns out he lives just a few blocks away from me. We've been hanging out quite a bit, and it's nice to have a friend here. He's been showing me around the city and introducing me to new people. I'm not ready for a relationship, and Alex knows that, but it's good to know that when I am ready, there are still good guys out there. As for Gladys, she's filed for full custody of her son. Rick is fighting it, but given his recent behavior, Gladys's lawyer thinks she has a strong case. I've offered to testify if needed, about Rick's infidelity and dishonesty. It's not something I'm looking forward to, but I feel like I owe it to Gladys and her son. It's been a tough few months, but I'm starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. I'm focusing on my job, making new friends, and rediscovering who I am outside of my marriage. Some days are harder than others, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Update 3. It's been a year since my world turned upside down, and I can hardly believe how much has changed. I'm still in New York, and I can confidently say that moving here was the best decision I could have made. My job is going great. I recently got another promotion and I'm now leading my own team. It's challenging, but I love it. The sense of accomplishment I get from my work has been crucial in rebuilding my self-esteem after everything that happened with Rick. My team is fantastic, and I've even made some close friends at work. We often grab drinks after work or explore new restaurants in the city. Speaking of Rick, I haven't heard from him in months, and I'm thankful for that. The last update I got was from Gladys. Rick lost the custody battle and now only has supervised visitation rights with his son. Gladys said he's been inconsistent with visits, often canceling at the last minute. It's sad for the child, but I'm glad Gladys and her son are safe and moving on with their lives. Gladys and I still keep in touch. We formed an unexpected friendship, bonded by our shared experience. She's started dating again and seems happy. She's even talking about visiting New York with her son someday. It's strange to think about how our lives intersected in such a painful way, but I'm glad we've both found some healing. As for me, well, I've got some news. Remember Alex, my college friend? Our friendship has evolved into something more. We started dating about 4 months ago. I was hesitant at first, scared of getting hurt again, but Alex has been incredibly patient and understanding. It started innocently enough. We were hanging out more and more, and I found myself looking forward to our time together. One night, after a movie at his place, he confessed that he had feelings for me. I was terrified, but also excited. We decided to take things slow, and so far, it's been wonderful. He knows all about my history with Rick and has been supportive every step of the way. We're taking things slow, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the future. Alex is kind, honest, and respectful, all the things I now realize were missing in my relationship with Rick. I've also made some great friends here in New York. My colleague, Zoe, 31F, has become a close friend. We often go for drinks after work or explore the city on weekends. And Mia visits regularly from Chicago. She's thrilled about my relationship with Alex and has already given him the best friend seal of approval. I've also picked up some new hobbies. I joined a local yoga studio and have been taking classes regularly. It's been great for my mental and physical health. I've also started taking a photography class on weekends. New York is such a vibrant city, and I'm enjoying capturing its essence through my lens. Looking back, I can't believe how far I've come. A year ago, I was lost, betrayed, and unsure of my future. Now, I have a job I love, great friends, a promising new relationship, and most importantly, I've rediscovered myself. I won't lie and say it's been easy. There were many nights I cried myself to sleep, days when I questioned every decision I'd ever made. But each day got a little easier, and now I can honestly say I'm happy. To anyone going through something similar, hang in there. It gets better. You're stronger than you think, and there's a whole life waiting for you on the other side of heartbreak. Trust yourself, surround yourself with good people, and don't be afraid to start over. You've got this. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. New York has become home, and I've built a life here that I'm proud of. It's not the life I had planned, but in many ways, it's better because it's authentically mine.